This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Well, good morning. Thanks for getting up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Tim Gordon. This morning on Sunrise, delay after delay, the setbacks the city is facing to open Portland's RV Safe Rest Village. Plus, Governor Tina Kotek asks for federal relief to deal with a major economic problem on the Oregon coast. We'll tell you about that. But before we get to all that, let's check in with Chris McGinnis for our Saturday morning forecast.
It was a little drippy for your drive in,
Oh, drizzly,
right?
Drizzly, yeah.
Drizzly, kind of a drizzle storm, right?
Yeah, like it was. A blanket of mist.
A blanket of mist, yes. That was in Clark County on my side of the river. Well, of course, as Tim crossed the interstate bridge, he mentioned that it lightened up. As you go farther north, up into Columbia and Cowlitz County, we might very well be seeing some light rain. So drizzle's kind of, mist, it gets everywhere. The rain, though, is a little more significant in the northern part of our viewing area. So Columbia, Clatsop, Cowlitz County, maybe getting a few drops of rain, a little drizzle here in Portland. The farther south you go, the drier the air is. It is certainly not dry over downtown. The low cloud deck has kind of settled down on the building tops here from our Wells Fargo sky camera. And check this out. This is kind of a moody shot from Yaquina Bay. Live in Newport, the Bay flat calm and the Yaquina Bay Bridge in the background kind of fogged out a little bit. So it's a little misty and drizzly along the central North Oregon coast as well. It's mild. It's 49 degrees. Remember when we struggled to get into the upper 40s for highs with rain? We're almost done with that. As far as today is concerned, waking up to temperatures in the upper 40s and low 50s. Clouds and drizzle out there this morning. We'll call it a mostly cloudy afternoon. Tim, I've got us getting into the mid 60s today. And then a round of rain comes in for tonight and tomorrow. More on that in a warm, sunny and warm 7-day forecast coming up in just a few.
Oh, can't wait to hear about that. Thanks, Chris. Well, we start this half hour with a big crime spree in West Linn. Dozens of neighbors woke up Friday to find their car windows smashed in, and in some cases, their homes had also been broken into. Catherine Cook spoke with some of the victims and has a description of the suspects.
Pile after pile of broken glass in West Linn. It's not what neighbors here are used to or what they expected, but on Friday, it's what they woke up to.
When I came out here, there was glass all over the road. My car driver's window got smashed in.
Paul Silverio lives on Imperial Drive, maybe the hardest hit street in the overnight crime spree. West Linn police took at least 50 reports of car break-ins and 2 home burglaries. They say several other victims live on Pimlico Drive and Coeur d'Alene Drive.
My roommate's car got both windows smashed. Kind of sucked for her.
Most of them, it was just one window smashed in, and this one had both. I have no idea why they did that, but...
In both of these cases, the crooks didn't steal anything. Fortunately, there weren't any valuables inside to take.
We were just all confused, didn't know why they were doing this, or it seemed very planned.
So far, investigators have identified at least 4 suspects they think are tied to this case. They're described as young males in their late teens to early 20s. They were wearing hooded sweatshirts with masks and gloves and may have been driving a white Chevy Suburban with aftermarket tires. They're asking any neighbors around here who might have had Ring camera video to share it with police. And they want anyone with information on this case to reach out.
That'd sure be nice if they could find them and, help me afford the new windows.
Wow. As repair crews move from one broken window to the next, neighbors like Paul just shake their heads. This wasn't supposed to happen here, but now it's clear.
It could happen to anyone, anywhere. You never really know.
In West Linn, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Multnomah County Animal Services is changing its policies following a recent dog attack. Cheryl Wakerhauser, the owner of Pick's Patisserie Bakery, says an unleashed pit bull mauled her while she was running in southeast Portland. Authorities say the dog's owner is a homeless man named Jesse Miller. Following the attack, the dog was supposed to quarantine for 10 days at Miller's mom's home in Camas. However, they say Miller came back and took the dog while she was at work. So from now on, pets will not be eligible for home quarantine in certain cases. That depends on the severity of the bite, whether the pet was loose when the bite happened, and if it was previously designated as dangerous, or its rabies vaccination is not current. And now to our homeless crisis, where 6 months after completion of a parking site for people who are homeless, the project still isn't open. It was intended to give people living in their RVs a safe place to stay. So why the delay? Here's investigative reporter Kalaboshi.
Hidden behind the slats of a chain link fence, sits an RV safe park village for Portland's homeless. The spaces are paved and painted. It's ready to go. So when's it going to open? Good question. First, a little background. Construction was completed in November. The site, located near the Portland airport, will be the only safe rest village for those living in RVs. In February, the city and county announced the Salvation Army would operate the site, which brings us back to that original question. When's it going to open?
Well, we're really hoping that it'll open sometime in June. You know, this is probably the most complex program that we've engaged in quite some time, trying to anticipate all of the issues surrounding bringing in RV units that, generally speaking, are pretty dilapidated and in very poor condition.
The Salvation Army is still working with the city and county to hammer out a contract and budget. Additionally, they've got to figure out rules of conduct, intake policy, how to handle leaky fluids from RVs, electrical issues, and more.
The worst thing to happen is you can rush something, get it open, and then there are problems. There are challenges. Those things don't work. You have to close the program. You have to make big adjustments.
A recent count showed 20% of the unsheltered in Multnomah County live in their vehicles. RVs line Northeast 33rd Avenue, just 1 block from the Safe Rest Village.
It's like, when are you guys going to open?
Becky Van Zant, who lives in an RV, says moving into the Safe Park Village next door would give her stability and a greater sense of security.
That would be a really big relief, really, honestly, because every 2 weeks we have to move, and it's not the world's greatest having to up and move everything.
There's a similar safe parking zone in Vancouver, which has been highly successful. A city spokesperson said it took Vancouver less than 1 month to get things up and running.
Oh, I think they could be moving a lot faster.
For those living on the street, what was intended to be an urgent response feels like it's turned into a crawl, especially with a safe park village just sitting there, ready to go. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
And now to the Oregon coast, where a key industry is facing a big problem. Governor Tina Kotek is asking the federal government to declare a fishery resource disaster. That's because salmon populations are struggling this year. The National Marine Fisheries Service is expected to close all commercial Chinook salmon fisheries from Cape Falcon on the North Oregon coast all the way to the California-Mexico border. That will last through August and will be a big loss for the industry. A federal disaster declaration would help deal with the financial blow. Well, Washington is also working to save salmon and will get millions of dollars in funding. Senator Maria Cantwell in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration made the announcement on Friday. Grants will pay for more than a dozen different environmental projects. In addition to restoring salmon habitat, they'll also remove invasive green crabs and save endangered orcas. Senator Cantwell called the move an investment in Washington's future.
Washington State is one of the top states to receive funds, I think, today, and that's because we're on the front line of climate change. We need to continue to do more to invest in our coastal communities to help them better prepare for the future. But we're very excited about the amount of investment following on what was a historic $2.85 billion investment in salmon recovery and ecosystem as part of the infrastructure law.
Now, the various projects will also make Washington more resilient in the face of flooding, improve water quality, and enhance tribal fisheries. All right, well, the Wooden Shoe Tulip Festival is usually bursting with full blooms this time of year, but that's really not the case right now. There's still plenty of color out there, but not at the levels that we're used to seeing. In fact, people at the farm say it's the worst they've seen in decades. We'll tell you why and the changes farm owners are making to the festival because of it. And don't forget, you can watch sunrise anytime you want on KGW+. All of our news is on Roku and Amazon Fire. Just look for KGW and add us to your home screen, please, and stream sunrise anytime you want on your schedule.